All right, good morning. Take three. Um, all right, lots of action last night in the Fed. Let's get right to it. Of course, everything is in order as far as chronologically when the game started. So, the first game last night, the Binghamton Black Bears hosting the Watertown Wolves. And Watertown, this was a game that they desperately needed to be able to at least come out with points, and it didn't happen. Watertown falls 5-2. They gave up 67 shots on goal. Spencer Kozlowski, he deserves a star of the game. Even though he didn't get one, he deserves it. Things started off well for Watertown. 6:37, they get a rebound goal from Carter Thornton, and it's 1-0 Watertown, and they held that lead for 29 minutes. Now, the problem is, in that first period, Tate Leeson given the gate for a slew foot on Jesse Anderson. And this was not good at all. Leeson is Watertown's leading scorer. They need him on the ice. He was out for most of last night's game, and he will be out for multiple games, I'm sure, as he is a repeat offender. So I'm thinking he's probably going to get a minimum of 3 games on a suspension. And the timing of this could not be worse for Watertown, trying to catch Elmira. Anyway, in the second period, that's when Binghamton finally got past Kozlowski. Kozlowski's got 29 shots on goal in that first period. Shots were 29-5. Kozlowski, he basically out-goalied Binghamton, even though Watertown ended up on the short end of the stick. So Connor Smith scores at 9:35, and then again at 14:14. So about 5 minutes apart, 2 goals for Connor Smith. But it was still only 2-1 after 2 periods, despite the shots now being 45-9 at the end of 2. Watertown just not generating any offensive chances, and they were basically just letting Kozlowski do it all. And for the most part, he did. Third period, Binghamton comes alive. Tyson Kirkby scores what would be the game winner at 3:08. And then Austin Thompson, who's been red hot, he scores again at 13:21. It's now 4-1. Finally, Graspy scores for Watertown to stop the bleeding, but it's 17:36. So it's getting awfully late. Now, that goal came on a 5-minute power play as JT Walters lost his cool for the Black Bears. Ended up taking an aggressor penalty, so a 5-minute major went on the board, and Watertown capitalized once. At 19:31, the net is empty as Kozlowski is pulled, and Dakota Bond fires a 200-foot shot into the empty net, and that seals the deal. And so it is the first step in 2 that Binghamton needed to take to clinch the division title. They did their part. They got 3 points, improving 33-6-7. Watertown now 15-27-5. Crowd of 4,500 on hand. Nolan Egbert stops 18 of 20 in the game. Kozlowski, 62 saves on the night in 58-31 played. Phenomenal. So anyway, Motor City also had to lose. And we see down here, yes, spoiler alert, that happened. All right, next game, Elmira, a very important game, taking on the Port Huron Prowlers. This was the second part of a very important playoff race, Watertown and Elmira. It's Sammy Bernard in goal for Elmira. Ian Wallace in goal for Port Huron, and Elmira, it's all Elmira first period. They get goals from Stephen Klink and Brett Parker. 2-0 lead. They controlled the play. Shots were just 12-10, but Elmira really controlled the play in the first period. They came out very hungry. Second period, Port Huron, they just go on a burst. I don't know what Chris Paulin said to them in the locker room, but boy, did they respond. Ross Bartlett scores in the power play at 3:20. And then at 5:19, it's Connor Foley. So it is now tied at 2. That carries on to the end of the second period. Second period, Port Huron outshot Elmira 17-6. And they got themselves back fired up. Elmira did respond early in the third period as Stephen Klink once again. He took like 4,000 shots on goal last night. Klink was just all over the place. It was incredible. So it's 3-2 Elmira. Finally, on the power play, Tristan Sim ties things up for the Prowlers. And so, yeah, it's 3-3. We go to overtime. Overtime is all Elmira. Port Huron spent, Ross Bartlett was in the box for part of that time. And it was all Elmira. The ice was tilted, but they couldn't get one past Ian Wallace. Wallace looked really good. Excuse me. So we go to the shootout, and it's a no. It's for, I forget who shot for Elmira. But anyway, Foley, he scores, and that was it. That was all that would be needed. 3 stops by Wallace, and Port Huron ends up getting the extra point in overtime, or in a shootout, 3-2. 4-3. It's 4-3. Elmira, so they fall to 18-30-1, but they did gain 1 point on Watertown, so now there's a 5-point gap between those two teams. Port Huron, 23-19-6. They inch their way a little bit closer to securing third place. Or we got the playoff spot clinch. 36 shots on goal for both teams. So yeah, Connor Foley with not only a goal early in the game, but then also the shootout winner as well. All right, so we go to down to Wytheville, and this was a really interesting game. I'm looking at my time as it ticks away, and I may need to split this up, but we'll see. Yeah, surprise, surprise. Blue Ridge can play a tough defensive game, and they did. And Owen Liskovitz, he had himself a fantastic game as well. So Danbury had everything that they could handle. The Bobcats take the early lead on a goal by Vladislav at 6:52 of the first, and then they held that lead, and they held that lead, and they held that lead. No scoring in the second. Shots at the end of 2 period was 25-21 in favor of Danbury, but nothing was getting by Liskovitz, and the defense was really shutting Danbury down. All right, so we finally get to a power play situation for the hat tricks. Johnny Ruiz scores. Who else? On the power play, 15:57, and that ties it up, and we go to overtime. And then overtime, everything got weird. There was a penalty, and then for some reason, Josh LaBelle scores immediately as soon as the puck hits the net. Owen Liskovitz goes nuts. Coach Zemlicka goes nuts. Everybody's going nuts. So trying to figure out what happened. On the replay, it looked like a perfectly fine goal. I don't know what happened, but anyway. So the referees, Lyons and Sullivan, go to the box and they look at a review, and it takes forever. 7 minutes altogether. But I found out later, thank you, Mark Robinson, prospector, it was because the review system went down. So Billy McCreary, coach of the Hat Tricks, actually had to go get his iPad and submit it to the referees so they could review things. And it was determined the goal was good. Again, I'm not sure why Liskovitz and Zunluka were so adamant that the goal was not good. I don't know if they thought maybe the puck was tipped in on a high stick, but whatever. Goal looked good. That's what the referees finally ruled, and so Danbury gets a 2-1 win. So Danbury improving to 28, 17, and 5. And guess what? They gained a couple points on Motor City. So things getting real tight for that second place spot in the Empire Division. Blue Ridge falls to 13, 29, and 7. They did get a point. They played very, very well. And again, just looked like they ran out of gas right at the end. So LaBelle with the game-winning goal, and Taylor Joseph for the hat trick stops 27-28. Liskovitz saved 34 of 36. Kind of crazy game. All right, I'm going to kind of gloss over this game, and I apologize, Carolina fans. It's only because my time is running low. Another shutout. Yeah, third time Carolina has shut out Baton Rouge. It's 4-0. There's not much else you can say about this. Gus Ford scores final minute of the first period to give Carolina that important game-winning goal. Early in the second, it's Mark Farmer Valente. He scores. It's 2-0. And then 2 goals in the third, one by Roman Kramer, one by, who else? Dawson Baker on the power play. Baker is on a torrid streak right now. And there we go. It's 4-0. So Karpinski gets his second shutout in just a couple weeks, both against the Baton Rouge Zydeco, stopping all 24 shots he saved. Meanwhile, Carolina, in their usual fashion, peppered Bailey Stevens, and Stevens made 48 saves. Another very good performance made by a goaltender on the losing end. So Baton Rouge is 10-32-4. Carolina improves to 35-11-2, and they get to the 100-point plateau. All right, and then finally, this is the game that gave the Binghamton Black Bears the division title. Motor City runs into the buzzsaw that is the Columbus River Dragons and comes out in the short end at 5-2. Early, it's first goal. It's Justin McDonald, point number 100 on the year, and a goal. 11:30, that was the time at the first period. And then also Carter Shinkarik scores. So it's already 2-0 at the end of one. And then Columbus just goes on a roll. They get goals from Alex Storjahan in the second, and then Austin Doe and Cody Wickline in the third. So it's 5-0 at the 12:45 mark of the third period. Motor City did muster back some force, gets a power play goal from Danny Vanderweel, and Avery Smith scores with about 3 minutes left. But yeah, it was Columbus. So Columbus ends up winning the game. They hold their first place spot in the Continental Division. Their magic number is now 11. And Motor City only 5 points up on Danbury, as Danbury wins in overtime, and then Motor City gets no points. So, yeah, it's getting real tight with some playoff races. Motor City is now 29-17-4. Columbus is 38-4-3, and their magic number to clinch the Continental Division is 11 points. 31-98, the announced crowd. For the game, Storjahan has a golden assist, so did Cody Wickline. And Brendan Colgan stops 21 of 23 for his 21st win. Trevor Babin, 37 saves out of 42. And that really made a big difference. So, as we quickly look at the standings, 11-point gap between Columbus and Carolina. I'm going to hurry through this. Port Huron now a 12-point gap on Mississippi. Both Blue Ridge and Baton Rouge, their number to be eliminated officially is 6. 6 points is the magic number for Mississippi. And then in the Empire Division, you have 5-point gaps between Motor City and Danbury, and Elmira and Watertown for that last playoff spot. Again, Watertown probably going to be short a player for the next couple of games at least. So, big happenings. All right, so that is it. I got to get going. Thank you for tuning in. I may do another supplemental video later on, but here you go with today's summaries. Tune in tomorrow for tonight's games.